Welcome back, everyone. We've been covering Baptista, but we have our very own senior trial producer, Cathy Russon, live in Missouri at the Godejohn trial. I want to speak to you about this, Cathy. It has been an explosive day in the courtroom with the prosecutor's opening statements and the defense opening statements. Tell us a little bit about your impression of the jury and what were they thinking during those openings?
Well, first of all, don't let this bright sun fool you. I can't open my eyes. It's about 14 degrees and freezing out here. Okay, so the jury's made up of 9 women and 6 men. They were very attentive the entire time, during openings, during the witnesses. The prosecution opening was all about premeditation. That's what he hammered home, is that Godejohn had plenty of opportunity to back out of this plan, and he walked through every step that he did. Even when it comes to the long bus ride from Wisconsin to here, he had all that time to think about it. He even stopped at the front door, and he had that time to think about it. So he really went over premeditation.
Absolutely, and we heard some of that, Cathy, and that's so interesting. Certainly people were picking up on that long bus ride. That was a pretty critical fact that the prosecution set forth.
That's right. And Godejohn himself even said that he stood outside the door of the home and was still thinking. He said, I had an angel on one side and a devil on the other side, and one was telling me just to get Gypsy and let's just take off, and the other one was saying, kill that bitch. So that was pretty powerful, and he repeated that more than once during his opening.
Yeah, the angel and devil, and certainly when you're talking about the defense aspect of the case, that angel and devil scenario does not help the defense at all. Did you see that in any of the faces in the courtroom as these facts were coming out?
Well, for the jurors, they're very stoic, and they've given me no reaction at all. Also, this is a huge case for this area. There is no one here in this gallery. There is only the media and like maybe 2 spectators, but I will say that Godejohn's family member is here, and I don't know if it's his brother or not. I don't know if he has a brother, quite frankly, but the guy looks just like him and around his age. So he's in the gallery. Other than that, it's really like nothing going on here.
Wow. Are there any people in the gallery from the victim's family that you've been able to identify?
No, and Misty, this is what's so unique about this trial. Nobody cares about the victim.
Wow.
Her own family calls her evil. This is not a sympathetic victim, and there is no one here representing her, and I don't think anyone cares about her.
It is so shocking, Cathy, because you're absolutely right, and you've been live on the scene so many times at many of the trials that we cover, and oftentimes it's the victim's family that really tears at your heartstrings, and you can see the jury looking to them or the family members reacting to certain witnesses in the courtroom. The fact that there aren't any family members of the victim there is quite surprising, but look, we know that there was, as far as Gypsy is concerned, certainly there was major issues between Gypsy and her mother, which resulted in a plea deal. But here, we're still facing a murder 1 conviction.
So that brings me to the defense opening. So their opening is centered around how Gypsy planned everything. Gypsy stole money from her mom to get him bus fare. She shoplifted a knife from Walmart. She planned all of this, and they went into his autism and said that the jury would hear that he has a low IQ. But they didn't ask him to find him not guilty for any reason. They asked the jury to consider lesser murder charges.
Right. They asked the jury to consider lesser murder charges. They said to keep an open mind, which I thought was interesting. And the mental capacity issue is really where this lies. So the question is, who's the mastermind? Is that what the defense focused on?
Yes. And I think, let's just say that we're all waiting for Gypsy to take the stand, because that's going to be the big moment in this trial. She will testify. So we're waiting for her to take the stand. And I'm interested to see how he reacts to that as well. But the defense also talked about in their opening the medical experts. So the prosecution is going to bring in a doctor to talk about autism, which is interesting. But there was also some testing that the prosecution didn't want to bring out, and the defense fought for that. He's like, either we don't have this doctor at all, or we bring everything in, and the judge agreed. So that'll be interesting testimony as well, because they're claimed he has diminished capacity because of the autism and low IQ. Now, I find that interesting because for the most part, people that have autism have high IQs, and they're very smart. So I'm interested to see how that comes out in the courtroom.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting, Cathy, because it sounds like there's going to be multiple medical experts that are going to have to come in and testify. And there was some contention about that between the defense and the prosecution today?
Yeah, well, that was the first motion we heard in the morning. The prosecutor wanted to leave out some testing. It wasn't clear what the testing was, because my understanding is this doctor hasn't seen Godejohn. So it must be like maybe like statistics and testing that's been done. I don't know. They wanted to leave that part out, and the defense wanted all of it out. And then they said, if any comes in, then all comes in, and the judge agreed. So we're going to hear from some expert on on autism.
Well, that's going to be very interesting, Cathy, and that's some great insight. Certainly, as far as from the defense perspective, this case is really going to hinge on that medical expert testimony and whether or not a jury buys their argument. Boy, Cathy, you are a trooper. Thank you so much for reporting live in that frigid weather. We really appreciate it. Senior trial producer extraordinaire, Cathy Russon, thank you so much. And we'll be looking to you for more information about what's going on in the courtroom. All right, so now we have that insight from Cathy, who was in the courtroom. Interesting fact, no one from the victim's family in the galley. That is so unusual in murder cases. Typically, that's a jam-packed courtroom filled with family members. In any case, we're going to continue to watch this case unfold. Right now, we're going to watch the prosecution opening statement. Now hearing what Cathy told us about the stoic jury and the focus on premeditation by the prosecutors, let's take a listen to their opening statement.